Hello, hello, everybody.
What did you call him?
I can't do this anymore. Left my past all on the floor. I've been trying to keep it moving. Now we going north, going up 2, 3, up 2, 3. Got this joy inside of me because I can't do this anymore. Left my past all on the floor. I've been trying to keep it moving. Now we going north, going up 2, 3, up 2, 3. Got this joy inside of me because I got the key. We've been really moving places, always on the low. I was shining in the tunnel cause I got the glow. People really hating and it really start to show, yeah. We gon' level up again cause that's just how we roll, yeah. Came in with the sauce, yeah. Learned out from the boss, yeah. I've been learning lessons from the struggles and the losses. Praying for communion for the races since we lost it. I done had enough of it for all the pain and cost anymore. Left my past all on the floor. I've been trying to keep it moving. Now we going north, going up 2, 3, up 2, 3. Got this joy inside of me.
What's up, everybody? So, sorry for the delay. I wanted to make sure that I got us started so we can go ahead and get this show on the road. So my guest is here. She's in the background. But while she got her sound going, I wanted to kind of just fill the gaps with some information. So today we're going to talk about autism and raising a child with autism. And there are multiple places and sources where you can gather your information. But let's see. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to share some information with you while she gets herself together. So what are some signs of autism? Okay, so there could be some issues with communication where the child does not respond to their names. There could be some hysterics. They could have a little bit of aversion to touching. And then I want to caveat this with, though, not everyone is going to show the same sign. Now, you may remember that I covered this already in another video, but just to keep it fresh with this particular episode, I'm going to just refresh this. They may prefer to play alone. They may avoid some eye contact, and they may ignore danger, or to use another word, they may not even recognize when they are in danger. And even beyond a particular age where we think that they have outgrown knowing that they are in danger. This is also some signs. They may have a delayed speech development. So these are just a few signs. And then tiptoeing. Along with tiptoeing, these are the children who even kind of like rock when they walk, because they have something to do with their the balancing in their ears. So it's all about the senses being different than ours. So I'm sure she is ready to go. So I'm gonna bring her on in as soon as I get back to the correct window. All right. So today I have joining me Veronica Beck. No, I cannot. I heard that. I can hear you typing.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Hear me now?
I hear you. Yep.
Okay. Fantastic.
How are you?
I just switched devices, so now it works now. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Yeah, plugging in the mic that might help.
Yeah.
All right. So Veronica, so we're gonna start with some warm-ups. Icebreakers. Sorry. Let's start with some icebreakers. First of all, thank you for joining me.
No
And
problem.
let the people know. Well, since this isn't our veteran series, it's not gonna have to be where you call home. So just where are you right now? You can answer in either way, though, either where you are right now, or if you prefer, where do you call home?
Oh, well, I'm in California. I'm in Southern California. I'm in a city called Temecula, which is about maybe an hour and a half, give or take, north from San Diego,
Okay.
California. I've lived here for many years, like almost 16 years. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, the South Side.
Okay, so I gave it away because I keep talking about veterans. I gave it away. I met her in the Air Force, so
Yes,
just so I know.
we were stationed together at White
So,
Men Missouri.
so I hope that you all will see her again on a veterans edition, and we'll talk about that. So to our icebreaker though, just to get things kind of started. Just answer the question how you see fit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this. Yes, okay.
What is this?
The liquid. How do you say that?
What? Pouring liquid in the cup?
What is the liquid called? What is that?
Water?
Okay.
The action is okay. That's number 2. Hair.
That's how y'all say it in Chicago. Say it again.
Hair. How
Okay.
did I say it weird?
I just want it to be distinct on what they say in Chicago versus
Well, let me tell you, I've been living here so long, I've picked up a SoCal accent, so
okay.
it might be a mix of the two. But I say
Okay.
hair.
Okay.
Here. Gym shoes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Shopping cart. A hand basket. Let me drink some water. A wallet or wallets. A purse. Alley. Look like an alley.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like the corridor.
Okay, corridor. Okay. This is not
It's
yogurt.
like an ice cup, like a.
Okay. Okay.
What do you call that?
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what I call
I'm
it.
just curious because you're from Illinois, so.
Icy. That's an ice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We say icy too. We'll say that too. I lost a lot of my Chicago vocabulary living here. Like they call it different things, slush or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, see that I call it icy, the Kool-Aid in the cup.
See, that's an ice cup.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm just a little bit more specific. That's all.
That's a boatload of stuff.
Okay.
The wife beater.
Okay.
Funny.
That's it. That's the last one.
That's funny. So why do you do that? To see how we pronounce stuff?
Yes.
Oh,
Just to show cultural differences, right? Because not all Black people and regions in the U.S. call things the same.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it started with the fact that within my own house, we have two different cultures. The Southern culture and the Midwestern culture is not the same.
Mm-hmm. My husband's from Hawaii, so you should ask him.
It's not the same.
You probably say totally different from everybody.
Yes. So yeah, that's all. Just a little fun little icebreaker, you know?
Cool. Yeah.
All right. And so one more. Do you have any siblings? And if so, where do you fall in the birth order?
I have a big sister, so I'm the youngest of two. It's just me and her.
Okay. And so you said you are not familiar with the description of birth order.
Well, now since you use it in a sentence, I get it.
All right. So I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
Okay.
So that you are the last born.
Mhm.
So does these characteristics describe you accurately?
No.
What do you not
I would
agree
say
with?
fun, social, outgoing, yeah, but the rest of them, no.
Hmm.
I didn't have the luxury. I was very independent.
Mm-hmm.
I was treated like the middle child versus the last child.
Okay.
So I was very independent. So my sister
Okay.
got more of the attention than I got.
Okay. So you're gonna answer this question as if you are not still yourself. You're just gonna answer like the child.
The child.
So, Veronica, throughout life, none of these other words describe you.
No.
Okay. All right. We'll see when we get to this military version of you. I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you have that today. Okay. So, Veronica, you are here to speak with us about raising a child that is on the autism spectrum. And so, I am also going to do my split screen. Okay. Let's not have technology problems today.
Right.
Split screen and pull up my other questions that I have laid out. All right. So, all right. For the viewers who do not know, I am a social worker, licensed clinical social worker who is, that means I am a therapist. But I too, I don't talk about this very often, but I too have a child who is on the autism spectrum. I found out later in that child's life, and I advocate very much for ensuring that you know what to do in the educational space to ensure that your child gets all of the rights and everything that is afforded to them, as particularly when it comes to their therapies and all kind of services. Veronica, on the other hand, she's been knowing about this a lot longer than I have, and so this is going to be her sharing all about the whole entire gamut of the signs and stuff that you look out for, when to get tested, how to get tested, and everything like that from the younger child's perspective. Mm-hmm. So, how has your experience as a parent raising a child on the autism spectrum influenced your approach to parenting and your understanding of neurodiversity?
Well, I have to approach it differently than you would with a neurotypical child, because neurodivergent kids, they process the world around them in a different way. The way they intake information, the way they put out information, the way they grasp things. They might have problems, wrapping their brains around things. So the way that I address this is with, I have to be very patient. I have to be very flexible in how I parent. I have to be, even like with discipline, autistic kids don't really, they don't understand authority. They can't wrap their brains around it, that you're the parent and I'm the child. So because you're my parent, I have to listen to you. That doesn't resonate with them at all. So you have to get very creative with how you're going to get the point across to them, because you can't let it fester. Some people get a little intimidated because their child's autistic and they think, I can't discipline him, I can't do this, I can't do that. You can, You just have, and not, when I say discipline, I don't mean beating. I don't I don't mean that. Let's just be clear on that. There's many different types of disciplines that you can do with your child, that you can practice with your child. You know, withholding iPads or whatever type of thing that you think that you could possibly to use to get through to them. Like he has planes that he likes or toys. I'll tell him you have to put your toys away because you did A, B, and C. Something that he'll kind of associate, try to connect the dots. You just have to
That's
try to connect the dots that you did something wrong. So
mhm.
therefore, this is your consequence. So you just have to be creative with how you teach them consequence so that they will understand that, okay, that was wrong. Mommy didn't like that. Daddy didn't like that. So if I do this, mommy's going to be upset. So let me try not to do that. Even though he's still a toddler.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to think of that as well. Toddlers will take them a little longer in general without having autism.
That's what I was gonna say. Explain what you mean, because don't kids already have a little complication with comprehending? I am
Yep.
the parent, you are the child.
Yep.
Like explain the difference in what you mean by
Autistic kids
that.
have that on top of being autistic. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to, you have to assume capability with them. You have to
Mm-hmm.
assume capability. You have to address any situation with them as if they're a regular toddler, a regular child, because they will always, not always, some of them, because some are worse than others. There is a spectrum. It looks different in everybody. Hence why it's a spectrum. So what I do with my kid may not work with your child. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not, and that doesn't mean anything. That just means that you have to figure out a different way. You have to, it's like trial and error. You have to keep trying different things until something works. And since they are
Mm-hmm.
people of routine, stick with it. Whenever you find something that works, stick with it. Because they love routine. They just prosper. Like they they do so well when they get a routine going.
So how old is your child today?
He's
And when did you start noticing signs, or did you begin to have any type of worry or concern?
he's 4. He just turned 4 September 1st. Um, I guess we noticed signs when he was supposed to start talking. I guess around 12 months, he was supposed to have said however many words. This is the number of words that each child is supposed to say
Mm-hmm.
developmentally by a certain age. So at that age, at 12 months, whatever, I don't remember the exact number of words, but however many words he was supposed to have been saying by 12 months, he wasn't saying it. He wasn't saying pretty much anything. Asher didn't say his first word until he was about maybe 16 months. And it was a very simple word. It was just dada. And like,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Let's
Dada.
see. 10 to 14 months, it should be 1 to 3 words.
Hmm. And he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
saying anything at 10 months, 11 months, 12 months, 13. He wasn't saying any words. And the first word that he said, it wasn't even in reference to his father. When he said dada, he was reading it from a book. He was reading it from a book. It was and we didn't realize this at that time. We
Mm-hmm.
saw him, we saw him say dada, and we saw him go grab the book that says dada on it, and he would give it to us. And we're like, he doesn't know what that says. He's just saying daddy. He's like, oh, Chris, and my husband's name is Chris. Chris, he's saying daddy. He says dada. He would never say it to Chris. He would always say dada and go grab that book that says dada.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that is just, there's no way he's reading that. There's no way he's reading that. And that's the thing later on that we found out was hyperlexia. He just understands letters. And he heard us say the word before and he remembered it because he likes the letters. He likes DA, DA. So that's why he knew what it said. That's just kind of fast forwarding. But to backtrack, I mean, not to backtrack, but to go back to the subject, we knew because he wasn't talking how he should. And
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't saying mama, wasn't saying dada. Um, he would, it was mostly speech delay. For us, it was the speech delay. That was like the biggest sign that something he might need to go get seen by a doctor just to see if something may be wrong as to why he's not picking up worse. And keep in mind, it was 2020, 2021. We were in a pandemic. So we thought him not being socialized
Yes.
might be something, might be an issue because he wasn't around other children. He wasn't around kids. We started taking him to the parks just to try to find some kids for him to be around so he can maybe, pick up something from them. So we did that. And when I also took him to the doctor, and his primary care physicians were like, contact, and this is in California, okay? We have a regional center that we contact for some type of services when they think our child under 2 years old might be having some speech or any type of issues. Any type of issues, you contact the regional center when you feel like your child isn't developing the way they should. So they will do early intervention with your child. And it's different from every child. So for Asher, the early intervention that he was able to get was someone would come to the house before he turned 2, before he was diagnosed with anything. They came to the house and they just observed him. They would interact with him, try and they did this all the way until we started this maybe when he was like 18 months. And they did this all the way until he was maybe 23 months or so, 22, 23 months. So it was like a span of time where someone would come to our house once a week and they would just observe Asher and say, and write down things that he was doing. If he could stack stuff on top of you, like testing his motor skills, fine motor skills, all different types of abilities that he should be exhibiting at that age. And Asher he could stack blocks on top of each other. He could, I can't really remember all the things, like if he could go grab something, or if you told him, Asher, bring me this, or Asher, go pick up the phone. How do you pick up a phone? Stuff like that. They would just ask all these questions just to try to give them insights on his abilities, whether he should have the ability now or not. They would just test him on to see what he does, and that's kind of how they evaluated him. They just pretty much asked him things or let him play with toys freely to see how he played with them. Like a toy car. Does he roll it or does he flip it over and play with the wheels, which is a sign, that some autistic kids show. Not every autistic kid, and sometimes regular kids do that. And it doesn't mean that they're autistic. It's just a combination of a lot of things that they see present in Asher, which ended up, with him, which he ended up with an autism diagnosis. It wasn't just him flipping over the wheels. It was his obsession with numbers, his obsession with letters. He was, once again, 16, 17 months old on his iPad, matching the shapes, triangle with a triangle, circle with a circle, yellow circle with the yellow circle, red triangle with the red triangle. Like just all this stuff that he would do that's just like, oh, wow, that's very, man. In the backyard, he would draw letters. What under 2-year-old do you know can draw numbers, draw shapes? And he knew the shapes. He learned shapes before he learned speech, really. He learned his alphabet before he learned to really talk to us. He still doesn't really have conversations with us, but he can recite his alphabet. He's been able to do that since before he was 2. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. He can say his numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can count to 20. He can.
You said before 2?
Before he was 2.
Yeah.
He knew a triangle. He knew rectangle, square. He would literally say this out of his mouth. Square, rectangle. That's a circle. That's a square. That's a hexagon. And, he'll say stuff like that. And it was just amazing to see. So it's like a lot of things, unique things that they do. And this is just because he was just obsessed with these letters, which is another thing, that's common in autistic kids, and just be hyper fixate on things. He would just stare at stuff, like he'll stare at his finger. It's just like a little mannerisms, that he would have present. He would stare at his finger and follow his finger like this, or just like something that he just does. His they call them stems.
Yeah.
Spin around in a circle, never get dizzy. He'll turn around for an hour or two, spinning around in a circle. Never get dizzy. Never get dizzy. He loved to run around in circles. He gets obsessed with shapes, like a particular shape. He likes circular things. He likes the fans. He likes things that spin around in a circle because he likes the fact that it goes in a circular motion. Pizza, quesadilla is because it's circular. Like he just had these obsessions with little things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that means your kid is autistic, but that just meant that my kid was, right? That's what they saw in Asher on top of his speech delay that led the psychologist to believe, okay, I think your son is level 2 autistic. I mean, or has level 2 autism. And also, additionally, him not really answering to his name. Call him a million times. He just doesn't. He doesn't answer. Now he does, but he kind of had it's something that he learned along the way. But before he did not answer to his name, no matter how many times you called it.
Yeah.
He would get honed in on one thing, and you couldn't break his attention. Whether it didn't matter if it was a fire going off in the back behind him. If he's playing with a kitchen or something or a particular toy, he is hyper fixated on that toy. You have to literally go up to him and say, Asher, hello, hi, remember me? Type of thing. And then like get his attention off of whatever it is that he has hyper focused on or hyper fixated on.
Yes. That coming up to him, was that something that you all learned and adapted on your own? Or did you have to get that from outside intervention?
Yes. A lot of things we learned from early intervention. A lot of
Okay.
things we learned from going to different types of therapies. So like ABA, we learned techniques from them and also my own personal research. Because, you know, sometimes waiting for those therapies, waiting for your insurance to approve them, waiting for, you know, to be able to even start it, them to find a therapist. I feel like you have to do research on your own because there's a lot of information out there, videos, other parents that have autistic kids, TikToks, all types of stuff. Thank God we live in an age of technology. So I took advantage of that. So in the meantime, I could try to see what can I do to help my son while we're waiting for his services to start. Because at first he didn't have an autism diagnosis. So he didn't have ABA. He didn't have occupational therapy. He only had speech therapy in the beginning, in which we paid for out of our pocket. You know, we paid for it out of our pockets because we didn't have, you know, like a diagnosis. We just had something on file that said he had a speech delay. So we were able to get something. We were able to get that because of his speech delay. But then as time went by, he got released, like graduated from the regional center before he was 2. They said, oh, he's on track. He's fine. He's on track. So, you know, we're going to go ahead and release him from early intervention. So me as a parent, we're like, it's like it's hard to explain, but you as a mom or a dad, you know your children. You know your kids. Nobody needs to tell you that something is not right. It's a feeling that you get when you look at your child, even if it's your first. This is my first child. It's a feeling that I got from watching him because I had been around kids all my life. I have many younger cousins, like many baby cousins, 10, 11 years younger than me, 10 plus years younger than me. I've seen how kids normally act, you know? And then I saw my son and just thinking about all the things that were different. Him not, even when he was a baby, he didn't like to swing. He didn't like the bathroom. You know how you put a baby in a baby swing and just go on and do house chores? No. My son did not like swings, did not like being in the playpen, the little walkers with all the little gadgets and gadgets all around. They could play. He didn't like that. He didn't like anything. He liked nothing. Things that you thought that a regular child, I use quotations, would like, he didn't like it. He didn't play with regular toys. He never played with the baby toys that you buy from Walmart, the little cell phones and all that other stuff that you just throw in front of a baby to distract them. Asher's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Because that's another thing with autistic kids. They're so smart. They're so intelligent.
Yeah.
The small little thing, mind-numbing things that you teach babies because they're not really at that level intellectually to really comprehend advanced things. Autistic kids skip all that in between. They just go straight to the end. He doesn't want to play with a fake stove. He wants to play with the real stove. He doesn't want to play with a fake sink. It's no water coming out of there. I want to play with the one that the water coming out of it. What is this? There's nothing.
You saying something. You saying something.
Because it's true. Like, they just don't. they're very, yes, the comment, they're very, very, very smart. You can't pull one over on them. Like, even with like medicines, the doctor's like, did you try to, sneak it in? Or like, he's going to know. I can't sneak.
Ooh, let me get this one out before I forget. Ooh, yes. So when you said like going to the end, they go straight to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so it's multiple things mixed in my response.
Mm-hmm.
So with my son, my husband was making a comment that if you talk to him,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot try to have a surface level conversation with him, particularly if you're gonna try to engage him in like anime, right? Something that he knows a lot about. You got to go all the way in. Do not try to engage him on some surface level stuff. But this conversation is you got to go all the way in.
Yeah.
This conversation,
because they're going to know. Like, they just you can't pull a hood over their eyes. They just know. They know. They're like, you're just,
they know.
Like,
and so I'm thinking too. Now, like, wasn't my kid, but like when you try to give those certain kids like a fake phone, especially today, you try to give them a fake phone, they don't want that.
No, because they're like, I want the real phone. Let me tell you something. My son has learned if they find something they like, they'll entertain it. My son likes the kitchen. He loves to cook, whether it's real cook or fake cook, even though he tries to bring real food to his fake kitchen and put it in in those little pots and pans. He likes to cook. And that's something that he learned from school and from watching us as well. He likes to fake cook. He'll go to his kitchen and pretend to cook, but he'll also end up wanting to put his own food in there because he's like, it's something supposed to go in here. I know it's like real food. There's some food supposed to go in here because I see you doing it, mommy. I see you putting eggs in that pan right there. So he wants to put the eggs in the pan. He'll try to put it in his play toys as well because it's something about pretend play. They have issues with that. Some autistic kids have more issues than others. Pretend play. But Asher is, like I said, they are very smart. And I always encourage people, always assume capability. You have to. You cannot treat them like they don't know or like they're disabled, per se. Because people like to treat them like they have a disability. And you just have to assess it, a situation, child by child. So every kid is different because some autistic kids have other things on top of autism that they truly do have these limitations that you have to try to work around. But you don't want to assume that. That's why I said about being flexible and being creative. You want to, I talk to him normal and I find that he responds well with other people, like his therapist. His speech therapist never once treated him like he couldn't do something. Okay. Never once.
I'm gonna slow us down.
Okay.
I see Mimi got some questions, and then slow us down. Walk us a little slower.
Sorry. Okay.
You gotta fill me in. Before you got as you were getting the specialist, right? So you said you
Mhm.
started off with just speech therapy.
Yes.
So when your son, he had the speech delay, but
Mhm.
he was not responding to his name. So
Mhm.
as his parents, did you ever think that perhaps he was deaf? Um, how
Well,
did you how did you
we knew he wasn't
dismiss
deaf.
that
We
thought?
never thought
And
that. We
then how
never
did
thought
you
that.
get speech services?
Mhm.
How did you get it?
Oh well, the speech services at first we got it because of the speech delay, but then after he was graduated from the Regional Center Early Intervention Program, it was actually we took him to his doctor, his primary care. He has two because we live in Temecula, like I said, and we moved from San Diego. So he had a doctor in San Diego and one up here. And both of them were just like, you need to go get him evaluated by a psychologist. Because at this point, we didn't go to a psychologist to get an actual evaluation. And both of them were telling us, you need to go get him evaluated because he's still, quarantined or not, he should still be picking up some words and some speech because he's about to be 2 now and he's still not, saying however many words you're supposed to say by 2. So
So was when at what point was being deaf ruled out though?
we know he could hear. He hears sounds. Like we never thought he could. We took him to the doctor. Like they give him a hearing test. So you
Mm-hmm.
get a hearing test. You get a vision. Just a part of the process because they
Mm-hmm.
do want to rule out, you know, everything to see if it truly is autism or if he just has a hearing problem or if he just has a vision problem. So he got a vision test, he got an audio test, he did all that, and he was hearing just fine. They put a sound over here, he looked over there. They put a sound like we got his testing done, so we
Okay.
knew that it wasn't his hearing. We knew that it wasn't his vision. All that was fine. It was
Okay.
literally he's having trouble um, taking in speech, and he had pretty good receptive because it's like two type of parts of speech. So it's receptive and expressive. And Asher, he suffered more in his expressive language. His receptive language was okay, meaning the language that is inputted into him. Us telling him, "Come here, Asher. Go sit down, Asher." He understood that, even over there, even without being able to tell us, "Okay," in response. He still understood a lot of what we were saying, but his expressive language, that's where he really was suffering. He couldn't tell us how he was feeling, what he wanted. And of course, you start off with sign language. So we taught him some sign. Just his very first official word was eat. He would tell us when he wanted to eat some food, he'll come up to us and say, eat, eat. He'll do the sign, and he'll say the word. And so before, we would always teach him sign and then teach him the word. But now he's gotten to the point where we could teach him the word without having to teach him sign. But if we find that he's having so much problems wrapping his brain around a particular word, we'll teach him the sign. And some people can just teach him sign in general if you want to, because I find that they just, at least my son really, really grasps sign language so well to communicate. Like he really gets it really quickly. I taught him bathroom, how to say go to the bathroom, so that he'll know that mommy's going to potty, to associate, so he won't go crazy when I leave, like when I leave the room or something like that. I just teach him bathroom, bathroom, bathroom. And he'll say bathroom, bathroom. Like he'll repeat it back to me because they do that as well. They repeat what
Yeah.
you're saying. It's just them trying to process it in their heads, what you're saying to them. Because some people think, why are they why are they repeating? Like you ask them, Asher, did you eat? He'll say, Asher, did you eat? It's just him trying to program what you said in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes later on, I would tell him like the answer. You're supposed to say, yes, I ate. And he'd never say it. He'll just look at me like, what? Okay. I'm like, I say, did you eat? I asked, did you eat? You said, yes, I ate. And he won't say it. And then 5, 6 months later, I'll say, Ashley, did you eat? He'll say, yes, I ate. It took him like 5, 6 months.
Yep.
Process.
I just got to that part a
Yeah.
little bit ago with my book that I was listening to refresh me
Mm-hmm.
on some things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes them a long time. They don't. Some of them, particularly my son, he never gives any sign that he's getting it. But
Yeah.
it's like, don't give up, because some people think he don't get it. He's not getting it. I'm just gonna not do. No, they just don't know how to tell you that they understand
Yes.
what you're saying to them. So I never stop, even if I feel reading. I read to him all the time, even if he's not paying attention to me. I still read to him because, and I started doing it more because in the beginning, something told me not to stop. Something told me not to give up. Just keep reading the books to him. And I did it the first time. I just kept reading the book, even though he didn't seem like he was paying attention to me. And voila, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was literally listening to me, even though he didn't sit there and and stare at my. Most of them not gonna do that. They're not gonna sit down and look at you in your face while you're reading. It doesn't mean they're not listening. He literally was listening, even though he was over there doing something else. He was listening to what I was saying to him, and he would grab the book because, like I said, he has hyperlexia. So he's obsessed with letters, so he remembers them. He remembers letters in a book, which gives the illusion that he knows how to read.
Mm-hmm.
When he doesn't necessarily know how to read, he can't really comprehend what he's reading. So I try to help him with the comprehension because I know that he can memorize books. He'll read his books to me. He'll recite his, and he's 44. He'll take a book and this book called Good Morning Superman, for example, and he'll say, "A new day begins. The sun has set in the sky," or something like that. He'll read it because it's memory. He
Yeah.
remembers those words. He remembers those letters. So he's reading it from memory, but me, I animate it for him. So I can associate, you know, the meaning of that word for him. So he'll know to kind of help him along because hyperlexia is a real thing, but it also comes with um, lack of comprehension for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
kids when they get older. They can even math, like I was telling you, how they skip steps in between. They know 4 + 4 = 8. They don't know how you got there, but they know it equals 8. But trying
Yeah.
to tell them how to get to that is where some of them will have problems, even though that they know math. Like he knows math, but they don't, they don't really, because they skip all those in betweens. They just go straight to the end, but they forget
Yeah.
about the steps to get there.
So I just heard the section where she was talking about echolalia, which is very
Hmm.
similar to what
Yep.
you were talking about.
Repeating.
So all behavior is communication, but with echolalia, with
Hmm.
them repeating what a person has said or a book or a movie,
Hmm.
even the intonation and how it was said.
Hmm.
So the example in the book is, when the child came home from school, they're repeating something that the teacher said in
Hmm.
the intonation and everything.
Hmm.
Now, she didn't actually say what that meant, but I'm wondering if the child was trying to communicate how their day went, that
Hmm.
maybe this particular line meant something to them, or that whether they were upset with the teacher or they were happy with the teacher, or
Hmm.
that maybe they did a good job today.
Hmm.
But yeah, it just was like, you got to pay attention to
Hmm.
this, because the child is going to remember something, and it could be like you were saying, you read the book for months and months and months, that the child can recite something from a movie line they
Hmm.
watched 3 months ago,
Hmm.
but they're communicating
They are.
with you. It meant something to them in this moment right now.
Hmm.
3 months ago, but it means something right now.
Hmm. Yes,
So
that is true. Yeah,
um,
you just have to really
learn to pay. We got
somebody
really
saying
got to slow
something.
down.
You guys, what does it say?
Do you think a lot of kids are becoming more autistic these days, and what do you think is what the cause could be or
I
not?
think I think it's early intervention. I think it's people are starting to take their kids to get diagnosed earlier instead of putting this negative stigma on it and trying to ignore it and acting like they'll be all right. They'll catch on. So, because a lot of people did that. A lot of us, we're 80s babies. We know how our parents, we know how our parents were.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't, a lot of them were not about to waste time taking us to get nothing. You just need to pay attention. You're being lazy.
Yeah.
You need to. I think more people are starting to take their kids, take it seriously now because we suffered. I know how it was. Like I'm not autistic. However, I struggled in school. I struggled in school. It was just hard for me to focus and to all types of things. That I wish that I would have gotten a little more help, a little push in school. Maybe even put me on what did you not? It's not a 501.
It's both 504,
Something.
504
504.
IEP.
Something. Like maybe that would have helped me to slow some things down for me so that I can grasp it because I wasn't a learner that could sit there and get lectured and take it in immediately. I needed a little more time to grasp information. And it would have been nice if I would have gotten that time, I had to kind of struggle. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of parents like me who struggled so much. It's like we don't want that for our child. I don't want my child to struggle. And I'm glad that they do, my son was diagnosed at 2 years old. And I'm glad that they do that now, that they diagnose our kids earlier than before. Because
Mm-hmm.
before people had autistic kids, they couldn't get diagnosed even if they wanted to at 2 years old. They had to wait until it festered, until they got worse and worse and worse. Then they gave them a diagnosis. But now, dang it, you let them go all these years while they were developing, while their brains were developing with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No therapy, nothing. So now they get diagnosed earlier. Even if he turns, because we were talking about this earlier, you get reevaluated when you're like 6 years old. Because some things you just don't know until they actually start school and actually, interact with curriculum and how they actually are processing the information. You don't really know that until they actually do something. And so
Yeah.
they get diagnosed, they get reevaluated again, school age. And he'll get diagnosed. He'll get reevaluated. I'm sorry, not diagnosed. He'll get reevaluated again when he's older. And we'll know if he truly is still autistic or not. Because he may outgrow it. It may have just been a development thing. It may have just been, he was just behind. He just needed a little extra help. But
Yeah.
it's just, after my case, I don't think so. I think he really is. Even as time goes by, I really think that he is autistic. Only thing I think is different, I think he's level 1 instead of level 2.
Mm-hmm.
Autistic, I don't think that he's level 2. I think he's level 1. Because I don't think he's going to need that much help as he gets older. He's very high functioning. He's very high functioning, but he has some maybe ADHD or ADD, I think it's called now. But even that, they can't even diagnose him
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's too early. So
It's too
that was
early.
one of the. Go ahead, finish.
Oh, I don't even know what I was trying to say.
So as she said, like that was one of the things that we were kind of talking about, that we wanted to make sure that we raised with you all about the difference with early intervention. And so I do have, share screen, I do have from Autism Speaks right here, at what age is autism diagnosed? Because for what I know, you cannot diagnose a child at a young age, like prior to 6, prior to them going to school with autism. Okay, so as she and I were discussing, the difference is really about getting early intervention. And also, I'm not a psychologist either. So the thing with early intervention, right? So you get them evaluated, and if they have enough signs and symptoms to say that they have autism at an early age, this is where the early intervention comes into play, which would be extremely helpful. right? And so this is directly from the Autism Speaks website. So I just wanted to pull that up just so you all can see, right? And just as it says, they're well child visits at 9 months, 18 months, and 30 months.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. But even, and I just want to say that even if they do get, regardless of what that says, if you go to a psychologist and they tell you that your 2-year-old is autistic, believe them. Don't fight with them because they're saying it for a particular reason. Like, I didn't agree that he was level 2 when she told me, but it's not going to help my son. Sorry. It's going to help my son debating with an expert. Like, it's not going to help him. And so, and what harm can come from sending him to speech therapy? What harm can come from sending him to occupational therapy to help him with things that he clearly does need help with? So I just didn't see the point. So I know that, he will get reevaluated when he's older and we'll get real answers. And I also want to say your family history matters because you want to make sure you're treating the right thing. So as we speak, I am getting Fragile X. I'm getting tested for Fragile X, and it's like an intellectual disability trait or gene that we can carry as women. We could pass along to our boy child. Mostly like affects boys. Not saying it won't affect girls, but it mostly affects boys because they only have that one X chromosome and it lives on an X chromosome. And that's why women are carriers because we have two X chromosomes. So it can exist on one of our X's and not on the other, which is why some of us are just carriers and don't have it. But a boy, has an X and Y. So if it's on his X, then he's pretty much going to be diagnosed. And it can resemble autism as well.
you said what can? The carrier of what?
Fragile X. Fragile X.
Fragile X.
And one of my cousins have it. So I'm going to go get tested for it myself just to see if that may be something that he has, to make sure that he is getting tested for what he actually has versus what we've been told. Because they don't, psychologists, they don't know your family
Right.
history if you don't know it, especially. I had no idea this ran in my family until recently. So that's something that we have to get tested for as well. So that's something that, ask around, or if you guys want to get, genetically tested, you can get your child genetics tested as well, just to make sure that you're treating the right thing.
Okay.
Just to make
So
sure
you mentioned autism levels. So let me pull this up. Autism level 3, requiring very substantial support.
And these are new, by the way. It used to just be
This level 3 and level 2, and people, in the world of mental health and science says things are always changing. But this comes directly from Autism Speaks website. All right, level 2 is requiring substantial support. And then, you guys can go and read this for yourselves. And then level 1 is just requiring support. So, and actually, I guess I can do this as well. I can copy and I can put this in the chat. All right, so I'm gonna try to get back to some questions. Okay, so then Mimi said she thought that was kind of young as well.
They're asking a lot of questions in here.
Yeah, some of them we covered. We covered a lot of them.
Does he independent play?
Does he independent play?
He does. He doesn't. He's very reserved about playing with other kids, but he wants to, and that's another thing about autistic kids. Some of them want to be with their peers. They, with their neurotypical peers, they want to play, but they don't. His speech is limited, so he gets a little intimidated by playing with them. It's not that he doesn't want to; it's just that he gets shy because he can't really answer them. They say a lot of words to him, and it kind of frazzles him. So he goes to play. A lot of them go to play independently, not because they want to, but because they need to calm themselves. They need to wind themselves down from being so overwhelmed by that social experience because they're limited. And they know that they are. They're fully aware of their limitation. They're very I told her about my friends, two older sons. They're severely autistic, but they know, like they call them, gosh, what is it called? They're writers or spellers. They call them spellers. So they use like devices to communicate because they can't talk at all. They're both nonverbal. They can't talk at all, but they use these devices to spell out or to kind of communicate through these devices. And they say it all the time. I really wish I could talk. I hate that I can't talk and that I can't answer. They're very aware, which makes it makes me a little emotional to know that they're so aware of what they can't do.
Mm-hmm.
And which means to me also they're aware of what you say about them and what people say about them. So when they independent play, sometimes it's just that they just so overwhelmed, so they just want to remove themselves from them situations. But it doesn't mean that they don't want to. So I always tell when he goes to school, he goes to daycare with neurotypical children because that's very important to me. Have them around children that can show, what is it called?
Demonstrative play.
Yeah, like demonstrate behaviors and habits and stuff so they can pick up things from other children as well. So I have him in that environment. I kept him in daycare. I don't have to have him in daycare, but I put him in there because I want him to be around neurotypical children. He's in special needs class or special education in school. So he goes to school as well. And he's in a mixed environment at school. Not every kid will be in a mixed environment. They'll take that case by case. But Asher was able to be in a mixed environment because I said he's pretty high functioning and he's okay with being around people because some aren't okay with that. Some have anxieties, social anxieties. They can't be around people or noises or sound, but Asher doesn't have that. That's a sign of it as well, of autism.
Mm-hmm.
Having noise sensitivities, having, social anxiety. He doesn't have that. I could easily say, well, because he doesn't have that, he's not autistic. I'm not going to say that, because he has other things. Like I said, not everything's going to show up in every kid.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be different. Just because Asher doesn't have those doesn't mean that he's not autistic, It just means that he doesn't have that. That's it. But he likes to play with them. I tell the teachers, if he does go out by himself, give him a little time, but still try to reintroduce him into the group. Don't just say, he likes to play. They said it all the time. He just plays by himself. I'm like, you let him? You let him play by himself? I don't like that because I know that sometimes, not saying all kids are like this, but I know my son. I know Asher wants to. He wants to be around kids. It's just that he just needs a little boost. He needs someone to help him fit in or feel a little comfortable around them. So I tell his teachers or his whoever, please reintroduce him to the class. Please try to get him back in the group. Don't just let him wander off by himself and let him be by himself. Just make him feel comfortable, and they listen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully
Well, being in your great state of California, I'm still gonna ask, first question is, have you run into any adversity or challenges for you, your son?
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it because there's a lot of things that you
just pick one. The answer is yes. Just pick one.
I don't want to change the subject onto another tip because I'm Black, right? And my son's Black.
That was going to be the next question.
People dismiss our children. They dismiss them. They try not to give them the best care that they deserve because they're Black. Mm-hmm. The city I live in, very red, I guess. I mean, technically it's a blue city, but it's surrounded by a lot of red, and some of the people who work here live in the red cities around, and it's a lot of that going on, a lot of racism going on. So it's like, just I've taken him to a speech therapist, right? This is when I was trying to find him a speech therapist because I'm particular about what don't just accept what they give you. Don't just accept what therapist they assign you to, who they send to your house. If you don't like them, fire them. they're out of there. If they're not going to help, if they're going to not care about your child's well-being and actually act like they want your child to get better, they got to go because they're wasting your time, right? So you have to be hardcore when it comes to who's going to be around your child, especially because they can't speak or they can't really tell you what's going on and what that person is doing, right? And so when I took him to a speech therapist for an initial eval, and Asher was having a bad day, threw a tantrum like any other child, right? Any other toddler throws tantrums sometimes. He falls out on the ground. He's throwing toys. He doesn't act like that normally, but he was tired. He was hungry. He hadn't had lunch yet, so he just went crazy. He just wasn't feeling it. These women was looking at this little black boy like he was a dang on criminal, like he was about to kill them. Just the looks on their faces, they looked so fragile, and I just knew they weren't the speech therapist for us. Because like the fact that you couldn't tell when a toddler is having a tantrum, like they said that he had behavioral issues. He doesn't have behavioral issues. You mean to tell me a toddler who throws a tantrum has a behavioral issue? Like stuff like
Was
that.
this his first time with them? Like, had he been with them
First time
before?
with them. First, they didn't even know him from.
Okay.
How do you
Okay.
make such an assumption from
Because
one
he was having a
interaction?
tantrum, girl.
Huh?
Because he was having a tantrum.
No, but to say he has behavioral, like this is to say an autistic child has behavioral issues. That's a whole nother level that needs to be addressed. To say they have behavior, that means that's something that's ongoing. That's something that they have all the time. It's a difference between a behavioral issue and a toddler having a tantrum. So every toddler who has a tantrum, a toddler, not an adult, a kid, a 2-year-old, has a tantrum. He has a behavioral problem. No, absolutely the hell not.
Maybe.
They do not
Maybe.
have behavioral problems.
Maybe.
He hasn't even done that since. So where's the behavioral
True.
problem?
True.
Where is
True.
it? You can't say that someone like in that sense in
She
their
could have said
position.
they could have wrote this bad parent.
No, they couldn't write that because they don't know me. So it's
Yeah.
like for
Yeah.
me, when you're with somebody supposed to be a professional and they can't even
Yeah.
distinguish between a toddler having a tantrum because they're having a bad day and an
Yeah.
actual behavioral problem, you can't trust someone like that because
Dude.
they're not going to help your child. Everything that they do, they're going to see it as a problem that needs to be extinguished versus them just being a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to another speech therapist, never had that issue. Like I said, and it's like I told you guys, he was having a bad day. He
Yeah.
was tired. Try to not nap your 2-year-old and then them be hungry and then try to take him to the doctor. How do you think they're gonna act in there?
Yeah.
Any 2-year-old, with autism or not, how are they gonna act? They're probably gonna act up because they're
Especially
hungry
if
and
they got
tired.
a rule that you can't eat there. Because
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna give this kid these crackers.
That's what I'm saying. Like stuff like that. And I know my child does not have a behavioral issue.
Yeah.
But however, you do not want to deny everything. You do want to accept when they do have a problem because that's only going to help them in the long run. Like Asher has no spatial awareness. He will he will backhand somebody unknowingly, like nobody's business if you're standing too close to him.
Mm-hmm.
He will run into you. He doesn't know about, taking turns. Like we went trick-or-treating the other day. He wants to ring the bell. He's focused on this bell. He knocked down the other kids. I'm ringing the bell. I want to ring the bell. Ding dong. It's like Asher. Stuff like that. I'm not going to go and say it's nothing wrong. It was something wrong with that. It was something very wrong with you knocking down the other children to try to ring the bell. You need to learn how to take turns, or you need to learn the Asher. We're right here. You can't flop your hand back and slap me in the face. Like stuff like that. So you have, when there's actually a problem present, you have to acknowledge it, accept it, and get help for it. Because I know some parents be in denial about how their kids are behaving. When you get a call from the daycare or a call from the school, Asher, today Asher was a little, Asher kept taking the toys from the kids. or stuff like that. You have to take that information and try to help it.
So at this young of an age,
Mm-hmm.
how do you do that? Like
You
what
don't do it. That's the thing.
what do
Like I
you
try to
do?
teach my husband patience. This is where the patience comes in play. Where I said you have to be patient with them, and even more patient with an autistic child because it may take them longer for things to click. With any child, it's about constantly addressing that behavior until one day it becomes things of the past. It's not going to be instant. It's going to be constant correction all the time.
So do
People say
you
I
like
always have to repeat
rehearse at
myself.
home or something? Like how do
Hmm?
you? I'm trying to like how do you do it? Because
Talking
okay,
to
so
them.
it's a two-part question. So
Hmm.
first of all, prior to knowing that your child has autism,
Hmm.
and then once you know, okay, no, let me reword that. You're noticing that something is different,
Hmm.
but you don't yet know that it's autism. That's
Hmm.
part. And then the second, since your child, now that you know that your child has autism,
Hmm.
then how do you go about teaching your child at such a young age,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
About the spatial awareness and that hitting is not right. And
Therapy.
we don't jump in front of people in line knowing that you
Hmm.
have to repeat yourself.
You repeat yourself. Well, you repeat yourself over and
but
over and over again, and you can't. When you have a child, like say yesterday, when we went trick or treating, and he bombarded the kid to ring the bell. I said once, Asher, we don't do that. Okay, we do not push people out the way to ring the bell. And then I give him a chance to see if he ever registered in his head. He does it again. Now you're not going up to that bell by yourself. Now I'm taking you up there because I see you didn't understand what I was saying. And I talk to him like this. I say these exact words to Asher. And we're going to keep doing it. And before the next time, it's where the patience comes in play. The next time we have to ring a bell, I talk to Asher before. I get down on his level. I look him in his face because my son looks in the eyes. He doesn't have the eye issue. He will make eye contact. I say, look at me. I'm going to let you ring this bell. I told you before, you have to wait your turn because you have to get down on their level. You can't yell across the room to them. You have to get in front of their faces, squat down, look in their eyes if they're able to look you in your eye, or at least make sure you're on their level. And I just tell him, I'm going to give you a chance to ring this bell again. Patience. I can't say that enough. It's patient. You can't rush it. But people think, I'm just going to tell him. I'm just going to tell him again. I'm going to tell him again. He's going to get it. After the second time, if he ain't got it, he ain't going to get it. That's when you have to be creative. That's when you have to be flexible. You have to be patient and you have to change your approach because you see that just telling him is not helping. So now you have to show him. So now you have to get down. You have to say, Asher, we're going to go ring this bell. I showed him a couple of times. See? Excuse me. See how I say excuse me to him?
yes.
Okay. That's how I do it. That's how I approach most things with Asher. If I feel like he's not grasping it, I have to take it slow. I have to break it down. I have to reiterate. I said, excuse me. How do you say it? Say excuse me. And I'll wait for him to say excuse me. Okay. Say excuse me. And if he doesn't say it, I'll say, Asher, turn around. Say excuse me to him. Excuse me. And then we'll move on. It's about the patience. You have to take the time to do these things with them. Even if it's
That's not the
every single
word.
time. Even if it's every time. But it's because it's up to you to make sure that they're equipped to go out there when they're on their own when they get older. So
Yes.
you have to be patient. You can't rush this, especially if they have autism. You cannot rush it. You have to literally break it down for them sometimes. You have to literally go and do it yourself or take them. When we go out, he elopes. He's an eloper. That's another thing. That's some
Oh,
autistic.
don't go into eloping.
Okay.
So
I was just gonna
as
say I put
you
the backpack on him just to because I know he's
yeah,
gonna run away. So you got to do your part. You can't just say, "Oh, I tell him not to run from me." He's not listening to you.
Yes.
So what are you going to do to teach him to stay by you? Put that harness on him and tell him you're not going to get out of this harness until I can trust you. And that's what I say to Asher.
Yeah. So that was important for you to go through and go over that.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not just patience. I wanted you to use that word.
Oh, I like what you said, your friend.
You show him
Mm-hmm.
because
You show them.
it is the fact that children with autism do not, some of them do not learn through words. They do not learn through you telling.
You got to
You
show
have
them.
to demonstrate. So that was very important for you to say. And you went from telling him to you showing him, and then you rehearsed it with him. That's
important. The rehearsal.
That's very important
so
that
important.
you say that, though, because you just using the word patience. No, it's not
because
just
it takes patience. It takes patience to do that.
You did all these things because
which is the display of patience, sweetie. Like,
but it's not patience alone.
It takes
this
patience.
is the therapist in me now. Listen.
Okay.
This is not just patience. Because this is very important when your child goes to school and instead of writing his 504 or his IEP or whatever, it is the demonstration and the rehearsal that you did with him. Because some autistic children need the pictures, which they call the storyboards. Some of them need storyboards. Some of them need the actual demonstration and to be walked through, and some do need repetition. So I don't want you to gloss over that it's not just something patience. It was all.
The reason why I say it's patience because I'm looking at your friend's comment.
You ain't supposed to be looking at that. You're supposed to wait till I put it on the board.
I'm sorry. It's in okay. I'm sorry.
It popped up. You to gain patience.
Look, okay, I got some attention issues too. I see stuff popping up in my mind. I go.
It's all good.
My eyes go right to
it. Was it hard?
But I grew up in a typical. My family was something else. Okay, they are the stereotypical black family if you've ever seen one in your whole life. These women ain't got nobody's patience for nothing. Okay, if my son was my cousin or my brother, he probably would have got beat on a daily and would not have ever gotten a diagnosis or they just would have yelled at him. Why you don't understand this? Why you not getting this? Why you do? That's what they did in my family. Okay, that's what they did. So how I was able to not. I struggled too with patience before I had a kid, and I asked God to help me with my patience. You know what God did? He sent me an autistic child. That's what He did.
He did more than that.
Be careful what you ask God for, because He gonna answer you. I had to because I want. It's the mother in me. It's the mother in all of us. Your kids make you want to be better. At least for me, my son make me want to be better, and I can't look at his cute little face and be angry with him. I'm not gonna say that I don't get angry. I'm a human being. You're gonna get angry, but you have to give yourself grace because it's not easy dealing with an autistic child, to deal with a disabled child in general. It's not easy, so you have to give yourself grace. And since you are aware of how toxic that is, then that will give you more of the ability, more of the willpower to be more patient with your child because you don't want to treat them like how our parents would have treated us or how they did treat us when we were kids. I don't want to do that to my son. Like, I refuse. I am breaking generational curses. I don't want that. I don't want to do that to my child because at the end of the day, who suffers? All of us. If I don't help him, then I'm not helping myself. I have to help him because I want him to be independent. as independent as possible when he gets older. And so the patience comes from just focusing on how can I make the best outcome for both of us? Being irate, being short with him, or being patient with him, helping him through his problems now. So when he gets older, he'll remember what I said to him. He'll remember how I treated him, how we went through problems, how we solved problems together. So that when he gets older, you won't have this issue. Not saying you won't have other issues, but at least you would have some type of foundation in him because you were patient and you took your time. Because you have to take your time with these kids. You have to take your time. I don't want to have to. And people look at me. I don't give a crap. They look at me all the time when I stop and I, try to help my son navigate things in real time. I don't wait till later. I do it right then and there. We're going to sit on that porch and we're going to we're going to figure out this problem right here while we're in the situation, like the doorbell ringing thing. I did it right there. Right then and there. I'm not gonna wait till later. We're
Because
right
he's
here,
not
right
gonna
now.
remember.
Because he's not gonna remember. And I make sure I take him out. I have a friend who she has an autistic child. She gets a little frazzled when she throws tantrums in public or when they're outside. And I'm like, Ashley, you're not keeping me from going to the grocery store, boo. We're gonna have to work through this little crying tantrum while we're in this grocery store, so we can figure out why you're crying. How can I calm you down while you're in here? I want you to know that you're not the boss of me, and I'm going grocery shopping. I talked to him just like that. He just looks at me, he's crying, yelling in my face. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to get this juice. You can cry if you want to. I'm ignoring you.
My son never did that. None of those things. He never did none of those things.
Oh yeah, Asher would do that sometimes.
But I was repeatedly frustrated with, and I'm still frustrated with the incompletion of a task and the specific task.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, we're gonna be specific of like his homework.
Uh-huh.
His homework will be done, it's complete, right? And I may or may not say put it in your folder, put it in your backpack, which I'm sure I did because that's my routine. And the joker will do that, and then don't turn it in. You took it to school, but you didn't turn it in.
Did he have a diagnosis at that time?
No, yeah, he got it way late, way as a teenager. He got it way late.
Gotcha.
So I'm only like 2.5 years into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like throughout time, like he took it to school, didn't turn it in. It's sitting in the backpack or it's sitting in the desk, and now it's all crumpled up in the backpack. It's crumpled up at home. And like that was my repeated thing. And so like even like to today, it's like that much of like incompleting the task. It's like, dude, come on now, like we know this and we know that this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten you this far. It could be so much so if like just sitting there with him to draft up an email. Okay, now, son, all you got to do is once they reply, you need to
patience. Just walking through it numerous times. Like I said, some of them take longer than others to process that information. You may have told them that many times, and to you, it's like it's simple. Just do it. To them, they're still trying to program the first word you said. Like, what was the first word? They're still trying to knowing that. And it's just educating yourself. Because I feel like if you know why something is happening, that will help as well with your patients. No, they're not doing it intentionally. It's not on purpose. They just literally cannot help it.
Yes, that deer in the face. The deer in the headlight look. It's like
it's true, it's real, and it's authentic. They really don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes they, because they are smart, sometimes they try to run a game on you, but you know your child.
Yeah.
You know your child. You have to pay extra attention to them to know when, because my son, he will, typical toddler. You tell them not to do something, what do? They look at you, smile, and they do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, you said not
Yeah.
to. So it's like I'm going through like a double whammy, like dealing with a toddler and he's autistic. Like, 'cause he still does things that regular toddlers do, which is
Exactly.
why they get reevaluated when they get older. But I'm not going to deny his autism diagnosis right now. I'm just going to go along with it and get him the therapies and everything that he needs. And
Yeah.
when he's 6, 7 years old, gets reevaluated, they say, "Oh, he's good. He actually just has ADD. He actually just has." That's fine, but at least I know none of the therapies he got has hurt him. So I didn't treat him differently. I
Yeah.
don't treat my child differently, and he's happier because of that. And I make sure anybody around him don't do the same. Don't do that. Don't treat him like he's, you know, different to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like if there's something, a group reading, tell him to come to the group reading. Don't let him be over there. If there's, anything, any activity, and I feel like he's able to do it, I'm gonna let him do it. There's some things that I know he can't do, like he can't put him in karate class because he doesn't take instructions. he doesn't he doesn't follow instructions at all. So it's like, well, I'm gonna put him in something that you have to follow instructions when I know he's not gonna do it. He's not, and that's based on me actually.
Well, there is one that he can do, but we can talk
What?
more
Which
about that
one?
offline.
Oh, okay. Because like his
Well,
school
I guess
have
for
like,
the U.S., like he can do like capoeira. Capoeira is very good for executive function.
does it like, okay, we'll talk about that offline because I would need to know how
and it's
how they
multiple
get it
things
across.
at multiple times too. So you would think that it's extremely complicated. But even the research says it's very good for.
Oh no, yeah, we'll talk about it because I really want to know, because I do want, because he has so much energy. So I really would
for
like
those who are watching too, it's good for y'all too, especially those of y'all who are right here in the DMV with me. I know y'all heard me talking about it plenty of times. So before I get you out of here, if no one else has any questions before I let her go, I will ask you this question. There's a lot of questions here. In what ways do you prioritize your self-care and emotional well-being while juggling the demands of parenting a child with autism?
Well, I'm not alone. I can't really speak for people who do it by themselves, but I have a husband, and my sister helps out a lot. So if I need to go upstairs to nap or something like that, or just to get a breather, I'm able to do that. I've been blessed in that aspect. Because it can get stressful, but also I have the type of mentality where I don't really think about myself, because I feel like I had 35 years to do that, and almost 36 years to do that. So I partied, I traveled, I did all types of stuff before I had a child. So it's about my kid. So I'm not one to really care about me, like, per se. I all I care about is my child. Like he's like my priority in general. He's my priority under God, of course. He's my priority.
I'm 50% with you on that answer. I like what you saying about you got your partying and all that.
You knew me too. You knew how much I partied. I got that, Tawana. You saw.
You still need to take your time out and all that, since you got your husband and.
And I love being with my child. I love being with him. I take him everywhere with me. Like, if I can't bring him, I don't want to go.
Now
he's just such a joy. I just love him so much. I love being around him. So it doesn't really bother me to put him as a priority. A service dog, I did. I'm sorry. I keep doing it.
It's all right.
I'm sorry. See, I got something undiagnosed too, because I probably have some ADD that I didn't ever got diagnosed, because my attention be all over the place.
Anyway. You can see it. You were not given the instructions to wait until I put it on the screen. So to be
No,
fair,
I wasn't. Okay. But no, I don't think Asher, like I said, he's high functioning. So I don't think he needs a service dog. The only thing that I really did want for him in regards to a dog or something similar of a service dog is for protection. Like when he gets older, maybe I want him to walk. He wants to walk by himself. I kind of wanted him to have a dog to kind of protect him as he's out. I don't know what's going to happen in the future because he's only 4. I have no idea if he's going to start talking more, if he's going to be able to have conversation, if he will eventually get diagnosed with an intellectual disability, because I don't know. Right now he doesn't have one, but you don't know until they start school. I have no idea. So it's like service dogs are in, maybe, it just depends. If I had to say right now, I don't think so. But that's because I have hope for the progress that I've seen so far in Asher, that he will just continue to get better as he gets older. But who knows? He might not. And in that case, I probably would get him a nice like German Shepherd or something like that, or a really nice big dog to kind of protect him and be his guide. Because I think they come in handy with stuff like this, especially with his danger. I don't know if he's going to develop a sense of danger eventually. He has somewhat sense of danger. Like when he's at his play structures and it's a ledge, he's like, oh, he's not gonna follow. He knows better than that. Like he has a sense of height awareness. Like he knows that's too high. Let me step back. He knows that. But other things, that boy, he'll run out into the street if you let him. Cars coming, like he just will jump out of his wagon and try to just run. It's like stuff like that. So if he still has something like that, a service dog will probably help him a lot to kind of alert him to danger. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, well, you've given me a lot of your time today. Mm-hmm. So thank your husband and thank Asher for allowing you to come and spend a whole hour and a half.
No.
If anybody else has any questions that you still would like to leave in the comments for later, just leave them there and I can send them to her. Yeah, thank you. See, nothing. Okay, thank you. Don't go nowhere. Thank you all. And so y'all know it's time for the outro. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I would like to thank my guests for joining me, or simply thank you for watching the pre-recorded episode. No matter what your birth order is, how you self-identify, and whether you like pancakes or waffles. If this is the first time you're hearing it today, I want you to know that you are loved. You were put here for a purpose that only you can fulfill. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be sure that you like and share the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notifications bell. This is RealRam out.